Okay, so I rarely ever do this on Anime Sins, but my god, take one off the total for the extremely high quality level of animating right there. This is like some Studio Ghibli levels of quality, I'd say.
どこの世界も金稼げるやつが勝ちなんだよ。
But what about an old school African tribe? Money wouldn't mean dick there, and then what would you do? That wine on his face is kind of acting like blood. Don't know if you've ever drank wine, but it doesn't particularly stick to the skin. It's more like water in that regard. In summary, it should have ran off his face already. Do I care enough to add a point? No, I just wanted to talk about it, really. I don't even like wine.
ちょっとそこの。
ああ、やってやるよ。
Dude, I mean, come on, you don't know what it is or where it came from. It literally fell from the ceiling onto your head. Furthermore, it actually looks like a bomb. I think I'd at least ask why it's in a metal cocoon before I go pressing its buttons and stuff. Yeesh, well, this is the thing. If it looks odd, it's because I cropped the hell out of it since it was a kid in their birthday suit, as it were. I dislike this a lot.
テレビ消してから寝ろよ。おかしいな。何この世話係みたいな感じ。
Likely because you're literally being a caregiver right now. The following day, the pair go off to a store where our main character buys a ton of stuff he doesn't need in order to avoid Eleven turning him inside out or something probably less gruesome. After the shopping spree, they stop off for an expensive dinner she doesn't need but he pays for in order to keep his insides inside himself. After dinner, she decides school is where it's at, and after a brief Yakuza-related scene, we arrive at the school where Psychic Girl has been sleeping for several hours.
あれ？何？この世話係みたいな感じ。
Likely because you're literally being a... Deja vu.
そのまま姿勢を維持してください。
これでお腹いっぱい食べ。
She's still holding the pose? By the way, aside from the eyebrows, this guy is a massive discount Erwin from Attack on Titan.
親父が撃たれたって時にガキ連れてのんきに社会見学か？ああ？
Like, I'm not adding this onto the total or anything, but I'm curious as to why he's in trouble considering he was off doing a job given to him by his boss. If you know why, let me know in those comments down below, as I'm literally very confused here right now. Alright, you know what? They can go ahead and take one off the top for this. It's quite wholesome and funny, and I like how she helped out and everything. They've both got fantastic voice actors for these two as well. Dude, what is it with the insistence on barely clothing the young female characters in this anime once they come out of the metal Tamagotchis? Like, they could use angles and stuff to avoid showing too much, but they don't, and do actually end up showing way too much for my liking. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to show it, but they just showed us her from the front, facing us. Before now, it was side on or back, and it's annoying and gross, but I can look past it to a degree. But this time showing us her facing forward was way too over the top for me. I don't get why they do this. It's f***ing weird.
なんでわざわざ払ってやったんですか?
Character with their eyes perpetually shut cliche. They were like already 3 feet apart when the scene cut away, and here they are still walking for a while and not reaching each other? Obviously they decided to do the old walking on the spot for a while to increase the scene's dramatic effect.
あんたが死んだってことにするから。証拠はこの紙で何とかしてみるわ。帰る前に一緒に遊ぼう。はぁ？私はあんたを。
Yeah, but to be fair, you're also not there to grab her hair and tell your bosses that she's dead, but that isn't stopping you from doing that, is it?
慣れちまったよ、世話するの。
Kid. Singular.
すげえ！スーパーイリュージョン！
That is what some might consider to be a rather significant amount of champagne, considering it's all coming out of a single bottle.
今日こそ捕まえるわよ。朝霞商店街の意地を見せてやりなさい。
I believe the police also do these kinds of pep talks when chasing a suspect. They just stop when they're very close and say, "We can do this, guys. We got it in us. We're gonna make it happen." Sarge, you got away in the car? Oh.
今回は完璧な包囲網を敷いたからね。
Maybe don't shout when the guy's behind you on the radio giving instructions? It could likely confuse the person on the other end. I don't care either way, it's just not good standing near a being used walkie-talkie etiquette. After stealing yet more grub, Blondie comes close to being captured when she's saved by homeless Joe, who does something that in any other anime would be considered creepy as fuck and takes her into the woods to Homelessville. After a quick cup of noodles, she's back on the street, but this time collecting small change and cans for more small change before handing in said cans for more small change and then walks home.
そのお金でみんなのためにお酒を買いなさい。
なんでよ。
仲間として受け入れてもらうためさ。
I must admit, I'm rather concerned at the fact that this nice old homeless dude who has yet to ask the rather obvious question, where are your parents? Or, did you run away from home? It should hardly be considered the kind thing to do to essentially induct her into the ranks of the homeless for life instead of figuring out where the hell she came from.
歌でも歌ってくれよ。
なんで私が。
なんだよ、なんもできねえのか。
なあ、何か知ってる歌はあるかい？
一つだけ知ってる。
じゃあ、おじさんたちに聞かせてくれないか？
You know what? Maybe she's no good at singing. Hard to fathom, I know, but I'm guessing not every single young girl is actually a decent singer.
お腹をすかした狼さん、小鹿を見つけてむしゃむしゃむしゃ。私の歌がうますぎて感動。
いや、ほんと、へったくそな歌だ。
You know what? Fair enough. They pretty much hit the nail on the head on my last point and smashed it like you should smash that like button. Wink! My dude, it's bad enough that you've decided to drive the car with your fucking eyes closed, but now you're not even looking straight ahead. Guy's got a death wish.
これで後腐れなくホームレス生活の始まりだな。
Why not try finding out where she lives? It's nice, but it's also so bad when you take into account that a bunch of adults aren't even trying to find out where the girl came from, and instead are welcoming her into homelessness for life. I thought by now at least one person would have mentioned it. Where are you from? Are your parents worried about you?
夜になるとバーテンダーになっちゃうんです。なんでこんなことになったかというと
Because of the owner's clearly extremely lax following of the law in regards to allowing children to work in her bar. The plus side, lower wages. The downside, lots of time in prison if someone walks into the bar who happens to have morals. Wait, what? She managed to get her into a sleeping bag while she's asleep? I love this anime and I love comedy, and if they gave it a full-length zip, guess what? I'll be ignoring this, but they didn't. It only unzips like a foot. I can't ignore it. I'm sorry.
ちょっとひとみ、ちょうどいいとこに。歌子さん。
No.
いや、散歩だよ、散歩。
公園の入り口うろうろするのが散歩とか頭おかしいんじゃないの？
Good point, because as we all know, he naturally began and ended his walk at the entrance to the park, as opposed to, say, having walked there with the intent of having walked back to his building at the end of the walk. This is a dumb thing to say, you fucking dummy.
ほら、解散解散。
みんな、また明日だ。
明日もやるの
No, but I guess I could see how you'd think that, you know, given that he literally said exactly that mere seconds beforehand.
私はこの空き缶とか売って1日600円くらいなんだ。
God damn, man, every time I'm gonna write something, this beautiful anime cancels it out in the next damn phrase. So I guess since I've written not much at all for this episode, I'll say this. I fucking love this anime. It's so damn funny and at times really wholesome and sweet. This was a fantastic pick from the patron, so thanks so much for getting me to see it. The only downside is it's really, really difficult to write an everything wrong with video for a comedy.
もっとお金があればゲーム買えるのかな。
Is that much not obvious though? I mean, you could literally buy anything if you had the money.
本当だ。
How the bloody hell did she walk directly towards these two classmates of hers, eyes wide open, alert of her surroundings, and not manage to see these two standing just a few meters away and staring right at her? Her powers of observation are severely lacking.
あれ、松谷じゃね？うわ、まずいな。
I guess the exact same thing then applies to Teacher-san. I mean, these two have got their heads poking up over the top of the adult toy sign, and that's likely more of a giveaway than someone who is attempting to hide by standing in plain sight. By the way, a side note, these two could definitely play discounted versions of Eren and Connie from Attack on Titan.
何やってるんだ君たちは。ああ、プリントがめちゃくちゃじゃないか。
That was like 12 pages initially, and now there's fucking 1600 or something.
キャバクラかな。
ヒナの笑顔が見たくてつい甘やかしちゃうんだよな。
まあこれからは気をつけなさいよ。
Be careful from now on. Of a ladies' club, they're imagining it being full of thugs and drug dealers and stuff like that. I've seen a Japanese girls' club and it's nothing like that. It was in the game Yakuza, but still. And I'll admit, it did look proper cozy and stuff.
こいつら友達か。なんで。
I don't get it. She says don't hurt the ants, but then she drowns them. I don't get it.
短い間だったけど、アンズちゃんがいてくれて楽しかったな。
Why is there the assumption though that merely because they are forcing the homeless to move somewhere else that the young girl will no longer be with them? I mean, they've already, oddly, fully inducted her into the ways of the homeless, so why would moving location change anything? It's not like they're worried about her being further away from her parents.
家作った時はほんと喜んでたな。
あやとりがあんなに楽しいとは思わなかったよ。
あったな。
Hey, why don't you add something to the memories? Remember that time that we built the house for her? I remember that time she taught me how to make string figures. I remember that.
アンズちゃんを引き取ってくれる人は見つかったみたいだ。ここらがいい機会だ。
You clever and wonderful bastard, you answered number 28. I love you! Honestly, I've got nothing to point out for the end of episode 6, other than it took a real turn for the emotional and handled it beautifully, and honestly it had me welling up a few times. It was just really well done and wholesome as hell. I loved it, so I'll knock another one off the top.
Protect your crops, confuse your neighbors. African American, hail a cab, testify in church or...
俺たちは絶対に事件を解決して
あのクソゲ道教師に正義の鉄槌を下さなければならない。
What a great life I lead. I love it here. Nathan Burr, Alexander Frakes, Vupu, Manuel Meza, Josiah May, Bird Without a Word, Loritz, Joel Rosenfeld, BZX001, Yona Stahl, Manolo Saucedo Munoz, Matayson, Casey McCreary, Pamela, Master Tank, Brendan Creer, James Milner, Kyle Farmer, Theodore Quackens, Kaj Vorzelman, Jordan Samuels, Scott Harris, Gabby Z.